Hello and welcome to today's Living Word. I'm Dwayne Matz. Our devotion today is entitled Yield and Serve, as we continue to look at the reign of the good King Hezekiah, who was the fourth and final king of Judah during the days of the prophet Isaiah. One of the things that Hezekiah did was he sent out runners throughout the kingdom with a challenge to the people to return to the Lord. And we'll pick it up at 2 Chronicles chapter 30, verse 6. We read, "Then the runners went throughout all Israel and Judah, and the letters from the king and his leaders, and spoke according to the command of the king. Children of Israel, return to the Lord God of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel. Then he will return to the remnant of you who have escaped from the hand of the kings of Assyria. And do not be like your fathers and your brethren who trespassed against the Lord God of their fathers, so that he gave them up to desolation, as you see. Now, do not be stiff-necked as your fathers were, but yield yourselves to the Lord and enter his sanctuary, which he has sanctified forever, and serve the Lord your God, that the fierceness of his wrath may turn away from you." As I read this portion of 2 Chronicles, I can't help but think of how applicable it is for us today. I've said this before, I'll say it again. We are experiencing God's judgment in our land in much the same way. Whereas God gave them up to desolation as they could plainly see, we've been given up in the fashion of Romans 1:24, which reads, "Therefore God also gave them up to uncleanness in the lusts of their hearts, to dishonor their bodies among themselves," as we should be able to look around and plainly see. I mean, look at what's going on. See the prevalence of the sins spoken of in Romans 1:26 through 32. Listen to this list. "For this reason God gave them up to vile passions, for even their women exchanged the natural use for what is against nature. Likewise also the men, leaving the natural use of the woman, burned in their lust for one another, men with men, committing what is shameful, and receiving in themselves the penalty of their error which was due. And even as they did not like to retain God in their knowledge, God gave them over to a debased mind to do those things which are not fitting, being filled with all unrighteousness, sexual immorality, wickedness, covetousness, maliciousness, full of envy, murder, strife, deceit, evil-mindedness. They are whisperers, backbiters, haters of God, violent, proud, boasters, inventors of evil things, disobedient to parents, undiscerning, untrustworthy, unloving, unforgiving, unmerciful." That's quite a list. "Who, knowing the righteous judgment of God, that those who practice such things are deserving of death, not only do the same, but also approve of those who practice them." That's going on. What are we to do about that? Well, the remedy for today is the same as it was in Hezekiah's day. Stop being stiff-necked. Rather, yield yourself to the Lord and serve. Verse 8 from 2 Chronicles. And it starts with individuals like you and I. I've always loved Corrie ten Boom and what she has to say about spiritual revival. She said, if you want revival in the land, draw a circle in the dirt. Then you step inside that circle and pray, "Lord, bring revival to whatever is in this circle." And a revived soul will indeed yield to the Lord and serve him, trusting the Lord for any and all results. Now, you may be mocked for your faith, just as Hezekiah's messengers were mocked, but some, through the grace of God, responded to the message in a positive way, and revival began. 2 Chronicles 30, beginning at verse 10. "So the runners passed from city to city through the country of Ephraim and Manasseh as far as Zebulun. But they laughed at them and mocked them. Nevertheless, some from Asher, Manasseh, and Zebulun humbled themselves and came to Jerusalem. Also, the hand of God was on Judah to give them singleness of heart, to obey the command of the king and the leaders at the word of the Lord. Saved by grace through faith, and that a gift from God. I'm Dwayne Matz, and that's today's Living Word.